this video we are going to be making some tubbed out inner fenders for the Dakota. So as you know, last video I lowered this thing substantially. The truck already had 2-inch drop spindles and it now has cut springs which dropped it another 2 to 2.5 inches. And the tires actually fit inside of the fenders pretty well. The one issue I'm having is they're rubbing against the inside of the inner fender liner, and that is because, as you can see here, the inside part of this inner fender slopes down very aggressively. And when I lowered it, I mentioned that I took a hammer to it and pounded them out, and it definitely helped doing that, but it doesn't change the fact that these things just, I mean, they slope down so far, and it's rubbing right in this area, and that is, I mean, a whole inch down from where the inner fender actually bolts up to the fender. So what I'm going to be doing is making my own tubbed out fender liners, and the materials I'm going to be using to do that are right over here. So I've got this big old sheet of galvanized steel. I got galvanized steel because I do not plan on welding on it, and I do not want to have to paint it. I wanted to get aluminum, but the aluminum sheet was another 20 bucks, and it just wasn't worth it to me to spend that much money when I can get galvanized steel. It also will not rust. I just have to put paint around like some of the little holes I'm going to be drilling into it to mount it, but if I do that, it won't rust. So also I have in here these are some rivets. This is what is actually going to be mounting it permanently to the truck. And then for mock-up and getting everything lined up, I'm going to be using self-tappers. So the trick that I use anytime I want to rivet something in, I use self-tappers to install it first. And I use small self-tappers, smaller than the diameter of the rivets. And once I have everything there, the holes are basically already pre-drilled by the rivets, so I just have to grab the right size drill bit to match the rivets, drill it out just a little bit, and then put the rivet in. And if it's something that has more than one rivet going into it, more than one self-tapper already in it, I can let the other self-tappers kind of hold everything in place until I've got a rivet or two in it, and I can take all the leftover self-tappers out and go that route. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm basically going to be using almost that entire length to wrap around the fender well. I'm going to be cutting this thing straight in half. This is 24 inches wide, 48 inches long, so 2 foot by 4 foot. I'm going to be cutting it in half, so the fender liners will be about a foot wide, which is more than enough to cover the area of the wheel. Yeah, that's basically the plan. It should be pretty simple. So I'm going to start on this side because I had this one out recently, so it'll be easier to pull this fender liner out. I'm going to get started on this, and maybe we'll be able to, I'll show you guys where the tires are rubbing too when I pull them off. The driver's side didn't rub as bad, and I think I was able to hammer this one up more than that side. The passenger side rubbed quite a bit when I was hitting bumps and stuff. So I'm going to get the truck jacked up, get the wheels pulled off, get the fender liners pulled out. I will let you guys see where the tires were rubbing. Basically, when we're all done, we'll have some DIY $50 front tubs for this thing that'll clear the wheels real nice. And we won't have any more tire rub issues, and we won't have rotted out fender liners anymore. So I'm going to get to work on this thing, and I'll be back with you guys in a little bit. Alright, we are under the truck with the wheels off, and you can see here where the truck was rubbing is all the spots with no paint. And this driver's side wasn't rubbing that badly, but you can kind of see the fender liner kind of rolls down here about, I don't know, about maybe an inch or so from where the top of the fender is at. The worst spot was over here on the passenger side. So you can see it was rubbing significantly over here, and I think it's just because I didn't pound the side out as much. I don't think I'll be able to make the new liner come all the way down right here because this has this kind of weird shape to it that makes it fit inside of the little cab area here, but the top I will for sure be able to get it to at least come down to, like, I don't know, about here or something like that. I'm going to get this thing pulled off and start test fitting and mocking some stuff up and getting some stuff cut up to start mounting it onto here. So I'm going to get working on that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I've got so far, because this fender liner on the driver's side is nearly done, and this was the most difficult one to do. I've had one issue, and it is that the sprayer for the windshield washer, I could not get to fit over top of this thing, but pretty much everything except I gotta get something here to cover this pod filter area is covered up. So I've got fender liner right here, and then from the inside this is what we're looking like. So I kind of pulled all this stuff up here so I could pull the brake lines up and get them well on top of this, because everything here used to sit way further down. I think it looks alright. It's gonna work. It's gonna clear everything just fine. I might come in here and just kind of mold everything back into shape, but overall this is pretty much it. All the wires and stuff are sitting on top of it, and they aren't gonna be getting hit by moisture and stuff off the tires. And the only part that needs really any adjustment is the spot where the pod filter's at, right here. So I'll get something to cover that, and then this side will be done. That side over there should be a lot easier than this one, because there's basically nothing over there other than those coolant lines. Gonna pack it up for tonight. We will come back tomorrow and finish these up. I don't know if I'll be able to get the thing out of the garage, take it for a test drive tomorrow, because there's gonna be 4 or 5 cars parked in the way. But once it's all finished, whenever I get a chance, I'll take it out for a test drive and see if we've got a bunch of tire rub or if it is all fixed. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Alright, it is many days later. I had a lot of stuff to do and wasn't able to film the end of the process of getting these new fender liners on, but it is finished, and I'll go ahead and just walk you guys around and show you guys what they look like all done. So here we have both of them installed. The truck is on the ground, so I can't really show you guys all that well, all of the rivets, but let's get down here. You can see a few of them. The thing is riveted all the way down. Both sides are riveted clear down. There's no sort of support straps or anything on them, and they seem to be fine. They aren't flopping around, and I figured leaving them kind of soft, if the tire does hit it, it'll just push the fender liner out of the way and then pop back into place. So decided I would just leave it as it is. The curvature of the fender and all of the rivets holding it on was enough to support the thing pretty well. One other thing I did was I extended the air filter out a little bit, so it's not, there's not as much of it sitting off to the side of the new tubs, so it's not gonna, the tires aren't gonna be able to throw a whole bunch of stuff onto the filter. And yeah, I have driven this thing a few times, drove it pretty far away actually the other day, and I didn't have any rub whatsoever. I've got about probably 2 inches of tire clearance inside of those fenders, and there's no rubs when I hit bumps or anything. The only time I'm having rubbing issues has nothing to do with the fenders or anything like that. It's actually the tires. When I'm turned full lock, they're hitting pieces of the old fender liners way back there, so I'm going to go in there and pound those out later. And I think I'm also rubbing the tire onto the frame just a little bit, but it only seems to do it when I'm backing up, which is kind of weird. So I'm going to have to go in there, and I think at some point I'm going to have slightly shorter tires up front here, not by much, but maybe by like 5 mils, and they'll be the same width but slightly shorter, and I'm probably going to put 1-inch wheel spacers on it, and because it's going to have the wheels that are in the back up front, and those wheels are sunk in a little bit more than these, so it should sit right, and I shouldn't have any clearance issues once I have my 5-lug swap done, got my new tires on, and have my wheel spacers on. So yeah, that is it. That was basically 30 bucks, and I no longer have rust all over the fender liners anymore, and my tires fit even with how low it is. So if you guys want to clear tires that low on a Dakota, all you got to do is get some galvanized steel, or if you want to ball out, you could get some aluminum and just rivet it into your fenders. Now obviously I don't have an inner liner, so this thing is still going to be able to chuck rocks and moisture and water and stuff inside of here, but I'm not as worried about it. I don't drive this thing that much. It's not a daily driver. It's not going to be driven in the winter at all because the thing's too low for it anyway. So yeah, that was a budget way to get some extra tire clearance on your Dodge Dakota or anything else that you could get away with doing this on. I guess I'm just going to end the video here. One thing I will mention is I did replace my leaking shocks. I don't know if I mentioned those before or not, but got some new shocks on here. I once again went with shocks that were supposed to go to a G-Body Monte Carlo. They bolt right in, fit right up, no issues whatsoever. They're basically the same length, but they're a couple dollars cheaper, so I've just been using those. And next video we should be installing the lowering brackets and getting the back end dropped so the truck will sit level again and this massive rake will go away. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you all later.